Namaskaram to all viewers of Jyotirmarg. Dear viewers, after the departure of Rishi Narada, King Yudhisthira sat thinking for a long time about the performing of RaajaSuya Yagna. Then he summoned the royal assembly and asked for the opinion of his brothers and the ministers and other important members of the court. They all replied in length about his eligibility to perform that yajna. Yudhisthira also got permission from Vedavyasa as well as from Rishi Dhaumya, who was their Rajguru and Purohit. Still, Yudhisthira was not fully convinced, so he sent a messenger to Dwaraka requesting for Krishna's presence at Indraprastha. On his arrival, after the initial formalities were over, Yudhisthira told Krishna about the message given by Rishi Narada and his desire to perform the RaajaSuya Yagna. Yudhisthira informed Krishna about his brothers and the members of the royal assembly and Rishi Vedavyasa and Rishi Dhaumya, advising him to go ahead with that yajna. Yudhisthira said, "O Achyuta, this is a Maha Yagna which has been performed in the past only by emperors and samrats. I am not convinced about my own eligibility as well as capability to follow their footsteps and to perform this yajna. O Krishna, you have conquered desire and anger, and so I trust you. Your words shall be final, so please tell me the truth." Thereupon, Krishna replied like this: "O great king, you possess all great qualities which are required for a king to perform the RaajaSuya Maha Yagna. But that's not all. To start with, we need to conquer or subjugate and bring under your control all kings and kingdoms of this subcontinent. King Jarasandha of Magadha has attained great power and has emerged as an invincible force in the eastern and western regions. He has control over hundreds of kingdoms and allegiance of large number of very powerful kings and monarchs of the eastern region and beyond. King Shishupala of Chedi is the commander of Jarasandha's forces, and the kingdom of Chedi accepts Jarasandha's supremacy. The Yavana king Bhagadatta, who rules over the western region, is now friendly with Jarasandha. He was a friend of your father Pandu, but now he is on Jarasandha's side. Kamsa had married two daughters of Jarasandha by name Asti and Prapti. With this powerful connection, Kamsa became a tyrant and fought with and tortured all neighboring kings and kingdoms. Finally, he died at my own hands. Later on, Kamsa's wives approached their father Jarasandha and pressurized him to take revenge on their husband's killers, whereupon Jarasandha turned towards the Yadavas. All the 18 branches of our Yadava tribes joined together and made strategies to confront Jarasandha. But we estimated that his army was so large and powerful that even if we destroyed them continuously for 300 years also, Jarasandha will still have more troops to fight for another 300 years. And Jarasandha's close friends, the great heroes Hamsa and Dimbhaga, are almost like immortals, as they cannot be slain by weapons. So taking all our belongings, we fled from Mathura and travelled in the western direction. There we found the city by name Kushasthali, which is surrounded by the Raivataka mountain ranges. This place we took up as our new abode. All around the city in the mountain ranges, we built forts which are connected by tall and powerful walls and which cannot be destroyed even by the Devas. In and around those forts, we have deployed large battalions of armies commanded by great Yadava heroes and warriors. This is how we are now living free from the threat and fear of Jarasandha. Among us, Chakradeva, Charudeshna, Satyagi, Balarama, myself Vasudeva Krishna, Pradyumna and Samba are the 7 Adhirathis. Dear viewers, an Adhirathi is one who can single-handedly fight against and win over several battalions of Chaduranga army. Then, continued Krishna, there are 7 Maharathas who stand just below the 7 of us in their energies and abilities. O king, among all those heroes and other great heroes and kings and monarchs, you are the only one who meet all the criteria required to perform the RaajaSuya Yagna. But you will not be successful in performing this Yagna as long as Jarasandha is alive. As of now, he has imprisoned 86 kings and very soon, when it becomes 100, he will sacrifice them for attaining more strength and power. So, to perform RaajaSuya Yagna, the first task will be to finish off Jarasandha and to free all those kings and to get their support and allegiance. In the past, Yavanashi rose to the status of emperor by virtue of his sacrifices. Thereafter, Bhagiratha with his kindness and administrative excellence, Kartavirya by his spiritual and ascetic powers, Bharata with his strength and valor, and Marutha with his prosperity are the other kings who have earned the title of Samrat or Emperor. O King, said Krishna, in you all the qualities of those Samrats are present in abundance. So there is no doubt that you will perform this yajna and then rule this earth as an emperor. But we need to acknowledge the fact that Jarasandha has defeated hundreds of kings and kingdoms. He is receiving regular tributes and ransom money from them. So, as a result of his might and prosperity, Jarasandha in his own rights is also now eligible for the title of Samrat or Emperor. When Krishna stopped, Arjuna said, the factors that determine success are concentration and focus, efforts in the right direction, the presence of the divine, and the role of destiny. If we take up the cause of rescuing the kings in Jarasandha's prison and slaying Jarasandha as prerequisites for the RaajaSuya, our karma becomes sublime as it is evolving from rightful thoughts. Destiny plays its role as Jarasandha has to pay for his cruelties and wickedness. As we are adhering to the path of dharma, the divine grace will always be there on our side. Thereupon Krishna said, O Partha, your words are appropriate and perfect for a descendant of Emperor Bharata, and also being born to the brave and great Rajamata Kunti. When will death approach us? During night or day, nobody knows. And we have not seen anyone escaping death by staying at home without fighting for the cause of truth and righteousness. So the time has come now for us to take up this cause for establishing Satya and Dharma. At this point, Yudhisthira asked Krishna about Jarasandha and his parentage, to which Krishna replied like this. There was a great and powerful king of Magadha by name Brihadratha, who commanded an enormously large Chaturanga army of 3 Akshauhinis. Brihadratha had married twin daughters of the Kashi king, but he didn't have any offspring in them. Then one day, the great rishi by name Chandakaushiga arrived in the capital city of Magadha, and he was resting under a mango tree, whereupon the king visited him with his wives. The king welcomed Chandakaushiga and pleased him with gifts and prayers, whereupon that rishi offered to grant him a boon. Then the king told him that he doesn't have a son to continue his lineage. Chandakaushiga meditated for a while when a ripe mango fell from the tree into his open hands. Giving that mango to the king, the rishi told him that he can leave now. Reaching the palace, the king gave it to his queens, who divided it into 2, and thereafter both of them ate those equal halves. Very soon they conceived, and when the time came, both of them gave birth to a part of a child's body as if it had been cut into 2 equal halves vertically, with 1 leg, 1 hand, 1 eye, and only half of the face and the body. Those queens trembled with shock and fear by the sight of those body fragments and then decided to discard them. Accordingly, the midwives who were present there wrapped them in cloth and going out through the backside doors of the palace threw them away. After a while, a Rakshasi by name Jara saw them and took them. To find a more suitable place to sit and eat that flesh, she took them in her hands, holding them close to each other. In an instant, both those fragments joined together to form the body of a male child. Then that baby cried like the noise of thunder, the echoes and reverberations of which were heard in the palace also. Meanwhile, that child was so heavy that even the Rakshasi found it difficult to hold it in her hands. Listening to the cry of the newborn baby, the king, queens, and others from the palace came out. Seeing that great and virtuous king and the mothers of that child, the Rakshasi Jara could not think of eating it, and so got herself transformed into a beautiful female, and approaching the king spoke like this. O King Brihadratha, This is the child born to your two queens by virtue of the blessing of Rishi Chandakaushika. They were born as two fragments, but in my hands they have joined together. Thereupon, the queens received that baby and took it to the palace. The king was very happy and with due respect asked Jara who she was, to which Jara told him the truth, and then she disappeared from their sight then and there. King Brihadrata gave the name Jarasandha to his son as the sandhi or uniting of the body parts had taken place in the hands of Jara, and he also celebrated a grand festival in honor of that Rakshasa woman. Jarasandha grew up very fast, like how the fire grows in volume when clarified butter is poured into that fire. He was very handsome, radiant, and extraordinarily tall and well built. In due course, Brihadrata crowned Jarasandha as the king and then, along with his wives, took up Vanaprastha and went to the forest. Thereafter, through his penances, Jarasandha earned boons from the gods, by virtue of which he became very powerful and attacked and conquered hundreds of kingdoms. After Kamsa was killed, Jarasandha from his city of Giripraja whirled his gigantic mace 99 times and hurled it towards Mathura. That heavy mace travelled 99 yojana distance through the air and fell at a place very close to Mathura. Even today, that place is said to be there, known as Gadavasan, meaning the ending spot of the mace. Meanwhile, in the past, there was a very powerful king by name Hamsa who was killed by Parashuram after 18 days of battle with him. When this story was being narrated, Dimbhaga, the closest friend of Hamsa, misunderstood it for his friend Hamsa, and then he jumped into the Yamuna river and ended his life. When Hamsa heard that Dimbhaga had ended his life thinking that he was killed, Hamsa also ended his life by jumping into the Yamuna river. Hamsa and Dimbhaga were the closest friends and foremost warriors of Jarasandha, and they were both invincible, like they will not die by any weapons. Now that Hamsa and Dimbhaga are gone, it is time for us to act now, said Krishna. We cannot wage war with Jarasandha and defeat him. The three of us, myself, Bhim and Arjun, should approach him and challenge him for a duel. Because of his inflated ego, he will choose Bhim only, as he will decide that only Bhim is equivalent to him in stature. And I assure you, O king, Jarasandha's end will come at the hands of Bhima. So, O king, if you trust me, you may send Bhim and Arjun with me, and then without waste of time, we shall be on our way to Magadha. Thereafter, with the permission of Yudhisthira, those great heroes started their journey to Magadha dressed as Snataka Brahmins. Snataka Brahmin is one who has completed his study of Vedas and is now ready to enter the next stage of life, namely Grihastha. Dear viewers, here ends this episode of our summarized rendering of Rishi Vedvyasa's timeless epic Mahabharata. Harihi Om.